off and on to the second match, where we have our number 11 seed Jesse Chrusch against our number 6 seed of Bryan Hirst. Jesse from where's he? Saskatoon?
Yep.
Yeah, and Bryan from Calgary. So Bryan maybe got a little bit more experience here, played on the Western Tour a little bit more, where Jesse's a little younger.
But Jesse's a rookie on tour this year.
On tour, and we'll see. Again, we got a little bit of a veteran versus a rookie, so 6 versus 11, and we'll see how this goes.
Good luck.
Okay, Bryan's chosen to throw first here. He had the choice being the highest seed. And even though Bryan hasn't been out west for all that long, he's got lots of experience bowling out of Ontario. And we'll see how Jesse's nerves hold out in this kind of a format.
Both these guys nervous at all?
Yeah, both these guys are a bit nervous. I think they want to get this going and get this moving. So,
two very contrasting styles here. Bryan gets down relatively low and rolls the ball nice. That was a well-delivered ball, unfortunately, right on the nose.
Oh, I just had a little smile there.
Yeah.
Okay, the nerves are shake the nerves off. Here we go.
So it's a frame-by-frame format. So it's somebody could potentially win 6 frames, but have the lower score and still win the match in advance.
And it's always important. It's always important when you don't get a mark in a
yeah.
frame that you clean all your wood. If you count 15, you force that opponent to get a mark, right?
We've seen that before,
that's
where the 15 count wins a frame.
Yeah.
Right?
And we are playing for $50 a frame.
So you'll see Bryan will bowl 1 frame, and then Jesse will get up and throw 2 frames, and then Bryan 2, and they'll throw 2 frames at a time until the end.
Good cleanup.
Good cleanup there. 15 count to start. All right, he's got three balls in the first frame.
Bryan throws what is called a baby hook. He's got really good roll on the ball. Ball moves from right to left. With the speed he's got, the ball doesn't move a whole lot, but it's got really good turn on it. Okay, let's see
Jesse can throw
how
a spare or a
Jesse
strike
responds
to win
here.
Win the game or the frame.
You'll notice Jesse stands up a lot more and gets the ball way out on the lane out in front of him.
Great throws a strike.
Great start. Yeah.
So 1 frame for Jesse.
Didn't look
Very
like
far
there was
out
any,
on the lane.
no nerves
Nice-
on that
nice
frame.
throw.
Oh, he looked pretty comfortable.
Yeah,
Hey,
he did look pretty comfortable. Nice
he's a
and-
tour rookie, dude.
Yeah, he was a tour rookie, and he mentioned it a couple of times that he's, going to take that approach. Doesn't really know everybody, and also everybody doesn't really know him. So he just can play in his own game and throw his own shot. Not really worry about what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. It looked like his tempo was a little different there.
Little off to the left, maybe a little quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Second shot's just as important as the first, though. Gets you lined up.
And one thing I noticed, a lot of the guys that are here today had played well at the TBC, so same bowling center.
Same bowling center, yeah.
Okay, so he clears the
Carried
spare.
that.
Spare for him.
Yeah. So he wins the first frame, spare in the second. Bryan gets to go to shoot 2 frames now. That'll settle Jesse in a little bit. Good start with a 30 count.
All right.
So Bryan's our Autumn Open champion.
That's an endurance match too, the Autumn Open. That's
Yeah.
You play an 8-game qualifying shift. Then on Sunday morning, you play an 8-game, the top 40 people qualify. You play another 8-game where the top 16 qualify.
That was good. Well, chop off.
Where the top 16 qualify to the finals, and then from there, everybody plays each other in a 1-game match. So you're playing another 15 games. So on Sunday, you're
23
playing
days. 23 games
It's a marathon,
is a
right?
long day.
Right, long day.
Now, because Bryan gets down a little bit lower and gets such good roll on the ball, he doesn't need to throw the ball out on the lane as much. In fact, if he throws the ball out on the lane, it actually might take some of the rotation off. So that ball was down.
Just
that's
missed
too
the
bad.
spot
to the
there.
left.
Okay, so that's a frame for Jesse.
Another frame for Jesse.
You know, those chop off, sparing a chop off is actually pretty hard.
Yeah, they can really get in your head, right? Yeah.
When we call it the chop cherry, where you cherry a 3-pin out.
I thought it was going to happen right there.
Yeah, we could have showed you exactly, but
Hey, 15 for
you know,
him.
it's a tough
All
one.
right.
It's definitely not the easiest spare to spare. What would you guys consider the easiest spare to make?
A single pin spare.
A single pin spare, you're aiming at one pin. It should, corner pins. We get lots of corner pins. We're more used to them.
So corner pin's even easier to spare than even a 5-3-2 spin.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, right? You miss one, you kind of like, oh.
Brian's got to get it going here. Not only has he lost the first 2 frames, he's
better.
fallen behind in pinfall. And if in case there's a tie at the end of the game, you need that pinfall to be the tiebreaker. Looked like Bryan tried to aim that ball a little bit. If you notice when he threw that ball, his back trailing leg came up in the air, which means he was a little maybe too far bent over at the waist and didn't have his sliding leg out in front of him to be able to hold his balance. We'll see what that back leg does here this time.
That looked good.
Back foot was in contact with the lane, and it kept him more straight towards his target, and he had good balance.
You could just see that it was a better shot.
Just better flow, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, working on a spare. Strike
to win the frame.
Strike to win the frame. Spare to tie.
He got that
Really
one out
good
there,
shot.
didn't he?
Really
Yeah.
gets it out in the lane.
That was a lot like the first ball, wasn't it, in the first
Yeah.
frame? Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
times bowlers, when they get the ball too far out in the lane, they'll have a tendency to turn their hand over and pull the ball across their body to the left. But because Jesse's so upright, he needs to get the ball out in the lane, because if he tries to lay the ball down, he won't have this direction. So the further ball he gets the ball out, the more accurate he's going to be.
Oh, missed right.
Now, anything unique you think these guys about their type of bowling ball they're using? The size, the component of the ball. Does that make a difference?
It looks like I'm pretty sure both guys are using soft rolls right now. I'm not 100% sure on how the lane conditions are. Usually a soft roll will move a little bit more than another ball.
On a drier condition, yeah, for sure, yeah.
There we go.
Brian definitely relies on some of the movement. Maybe not Jesse so much, but it's a comfort thing too, I think.
Generally, I find the harder you throw the ball might have a tendency to be a little bit smaller, because if you throw a big, heavy ball and you're throwing it really hard, it's going to drive through the pins and not deflect as much, whereas a smaller ball is going to have a chance to deflect, and a slower thrown ball may have to be a little bit bigger, because you need the weight of the ball to drive through the pin. So,
Yeah.
So Bryan needs a strike here to win the frame and get himself on the board.
That's good.
That was
well
a nice
thrown,
roll, wasn't
well thrown.
it? Left pocket that side, wasn't it? Hey.
Yep.
You couldn't even hear that ball hit the lane. That was smooth.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's 3-1 in frames, 3 for Jesse, 1 for Brian.
Nice bowling center for all these guys to come and play the tour finals. Now this is where one of the tour stops is
Yeah, the
in
TPC
November.
is here.
Some really big qualifying scores. So after 8 games, they're 275-ish type average. I mean, there's some big numbers. So these guys feel comfortable in these lanes.
And not only high scores, but 266 entries, if I remember correctly.
Huge numbers.
That's incredible amount of bowlers that are trying to compete, trying to finish in the top 32.
Whoop. So that would be the cherry you're talking.
Yeah, well, there's the cherry, the 3-pin on your first ball. This is another tough spare to make. But
So how do you spare this, or where do you want to hit it?
Well, he's throwing a ball that's hooking, so the chances of him hitting the right side and having the ball deflect back to the left, I think, would be decreased. He's better off to hit on the left side of the head pin and send the head pin over. Yeah, it looked like he was definitely aiming for that side.
So he's got 8 right
it's
now.
interesting. That ball that he threw on lane 4 came in at the left pocket. Right now, last one there on 5.
Yeah, if you know,
Are guys aiming for the same pocket every time?
some guys, some people are pocket shooters. Some people are just try to get it
In
in
an
on the head
area.
pin. Yeah.
Whoops.
That's a tough one for Bryan. So there's an 8 count in the 5th frame. He did get on the board though in the 4, so it is right now 3-1. Jesse's got a chance to take a commanding lead here.
So what does Brian? Obviously, Brian just had an 8 frame. What does he need to do going forward?
Well, if you noticed again earlier on, I'd said that his back leg was in the air, and that means he's bent more over at the waist, which has a harder time for his arm to come through to his target. And both times he's missed right has basically been the same problem. He's getting that ball way out on the lane.
Same shot on the first, third, and fifth frame.
Yeah, he's liking that. He's liking that left-hand lane.
Most guys do so far.
A little bit of energy there too from Jesse. We've seen where he runs it out a little bit. There. That's good to see these guys. Right? It's going to start to get a little bit more each frame and each game.
And it's tough with no live audience here too, so it's usually a little bit louder and a little more going on.
Well, he's already got 4 frames banked now. Plus, he's really pulling ahead in the score. So I can see why he'd get a little bit excited about that shot. Oops.
Maybe a bit too excited. Yeah.
Little awkward on that one.
That's a tough thing. Is like you get pumped up, but then when you go to your next frame, you got to keep your composure, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
That's part of the experience too. Is that last shot was done. Okay, let's get into the next. You got to slow your breathing down, get right back into what you got to do to throw your ball.
On the nose with the little kickback.
Oh, and that
was 7 count.
That kickback helps first count on the strike.
Yeah. Remember, we're only in the 6th frame here, so it's a 4-1 lead for Jesse. Bryan can come back and win the 6th frame. It's 4-2. Puts the pressure on in the 6th.
Yeah, he's up 4-1 in frames, and he's up 54 pins in score. So this shouldn't hurt him too much. That's
so 10 that frame.
Lane 14 sure has caused troubles for a couple of guys.
It's kind of like he gave that frame right back to Bryan after Bryan gave
Felt
the
bad.
one before. Yeah.
Bryan is our 24th ranked 5-pin universe bowler, and Jesse is 45th.
Big shot here to start for Bryan. Get a little momentum going, 2 frames.
Oh, yeah.
No, he wins a frame with the 13 count. At least
Wins a frame.
So go and spare it.
Spare to get the.
Yeah, needs to get that pinfall up just in case it ends up in a 5-5 tie. So, but if you noticed, his back leg was back down in contact with the lane behind him, which pulls his upper body up just a little bit, which means he can get his ball towards his target.
Good shot.
Another well-thrown ball.
Yeah, there's your single pin, right?
Yeah.
A lot of
like what we
corner
talked
pins.
about.
And
Yeah,
if you can be 90% accurate on your corner pins, you're going to have
and
a
you should
solid.
be.
You should be.
Yeah.
At this level, these guys are 90%.
Yeah.
Right? It's you don't miss too many single corner pins. Right?
Sparing is a big part of the competitive game. Anybody can throw strikes, but it's spares that make you better.
Spares and your pins are really important.
He can set the tone now in the 7th.
Oh,
Just
little
tickle.
thin.
Got a little bit of a count there.
Left corner.
Yeah, now there's a left corner to go after, right?
So
I would think that's probably his more comfortable spare.
It should be.
Yeah, for a right-hander to come, crossbody or to throw it to the right pocket is typically a harder corner pin to spare. Left should be easier.
Now, the majority of these bowlers are spot bowlers, which is what those arrows out on the lanes are for. They've got a target out there for each pin that they're trying to hit. And
okay, it needs to get 15.
when I talked earlier about getting the ball out towards his target, the target isn't always necessarily the pin you're trying to hit. The target is what you've got to hit so your ball can take the direction to get to the pin. Because if a ball hooks or backs up, the target isn't necessarily going to be the pin.
That was a better shot.
That's a better one.
Okay, 15 for Bryan.
15 count in the 7th. So Jesse can throw a spare or a strike and take
Bryan's
a 5
got
to
134
2
in the 7th.
So right now it's 4 frames to 2 for Jesse, and we're playing $50 a frame. Taking a little extra time here.
Again.
Oh, a little thin.
I was thinking that was the same shot on that lane 13 that, out there a little bit. Yeah, out there a little bit and just a bomb, but this slid a little bit more. All right. There's the right corner now, right-hander.
Spare to win the frame.
And go up 5 to 2 in the match.
That's huge because he's got a bit of a lead in pinfall too. Whoops. Yep. Takes
All
a frame.
over that.
Big
all
frame.
over that. Yeah.
Yeah, good frame.
Picking a corner wins you a frame. So that's a big advantage because now he's already got 5 frames in the book and he's got lots of pinfalls.
That's a good start. I mean, you're 155 and 6. You know, you're spare in 7. You throw 185 roughly in 7. You're on track for a nice solid game.
Yeah.
That's kind of a target number. Is that 170, 180 and 7? You know, 6, 7. Those are some good numbers to start with.
You see that ball was down. The ball was down by quite a bit from what he was normally.
Yeah.
So maybe just getting a little cautious, trying to be a little maybe too perfect with it.
Yeah.
You always got to be aggressive and get that ball out in the lane. Trust your shot.
Yeah,
That's where you can throw a strike and
so he's
win
a
the match.
maximum 15 count. So I mean, you're opening the door again a little bit for Bryan. It's not over.
That's the first ball that he's actually thrown that didn't look sure. That ball was a little bit better.
Yeah, you're right.
Take 3 pin there, so he's got 8 right now.
If you notice sometimes when Jesse throws the ball, he's kind of a little bit, his upper body's a little bit sideways at the line there. He doesn't use his left arm as much, and when you don't use your left arm and put it out the side, when you pull the ball back, it'll pull your right shoulder back, so you'll have to round your shoulders. That time his upper body was a lot better. But
So
left arm is
so
really
13 count there.
left arm is really important to keep your shoulders square.
That right lane has proved to be a bit
Yeah,
difficult
it
for
seems
Jesse,
to
right?
be,
Lane 14 hasn't been kind, so.
I'm wondering if people are just taking their time getting up and throwing on lane 13 on the left-hand lane.
And then the second shot.
It is the
get a
second.
little quick in the second shot, right?
Yeah, because you want to throw that, you know, double or spare strike, and it's just almost not there.
All right, Bryan definitely needs to strike 8 and 9 here to get back in the match.
Looks good.
That was a
Really
great
nice
See,
shot,
again,
really nice
left
shot.
pocket, right?
Good roll, good balance.
Great shot, left pocket.
Takes a frame.
Saves that one
Yeah.
in 4, right? Takes a frame. Now you're 5 to 3, right?
5 to 3. Throws the strike in 9. He sets the table for a possible big finish, and he'll really
Interesting
put the
there, you
pressure
see.
on Jesse.
So Bryan just reset the pins on lane 14 before it goes and shoots. Maybe that's a bit of a mental. Let's start fresh. Let's just clean the lanes.
Certainly could be. It could be something to just slow himself down to give himself an extra second to think about it.
Yeah,
or
I think that was a good idea.
Or possibly there was maybe a 3-pin just off a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's why the lane's not providing results.
Left
Good.
side.
Really
left
solid
side again.
shot. Really solid
That
shot.
left pocket for Bryan has been way more successful.
Make it a game here.
Now some people,
Yeah, that's
some
huge.
people might think that he looked off balance there, but actually, all of Bryan's movement that he moved off the lane was after he released the ball. He knew he'd thrown a good ball. He was running it out. He had a little bit of emotion there. He was actually really solid through the shot.
Well, he
Jesse's
knew
going
that
to
was a big
the
shot because
Yeah.
of the pinfall and
13,
frames.
lane 13, which has been successful for him. He's thrown some great shots on the left side. Needs a strike to carry over.
Ooh, split.
It's a split, so he's not going to win the 9th frame. So now we're down to a 5 to 4 in the match. Right?
And pinfall's going to become a lot closer now too.
And we've got a little bit of a pin reset because it was a
we
split.
need
so we
we
the
need a
left
reset here
two-pin
because he actually had a
backstand.
head pin split, not a chop off. It's really too bad there because I thought he threw the ball really well. He was
did.
aggressive. The ball was well out on the lane, and that's
And he was on the side a little
a
bit.
little bit on the side. But unfortunately, that's the game of bowling, right? At 2 or 3 inches,
Yeah.
half an inch.
So that's
in fact,
so
can
he'll
make a
end up with an
difference.
8 count, right? So the middle pin on the left is an 8 count. You know.
Got to clean up all your wood. You already lost a frame, but the score might come into play here.
Well, you're and sparable, right? I mean, a split is
Yeah,
sparable.
low
It's
percentage.
Very low
Low
percentage,
percentage,
but
but he
you know,
throws the
guys
ball
have
hard
happened
enough.
before. There's been plenty of instances in tour championships or in many tournaments where, you know, a spare's been done, right? And the next frame they get a strike, and it's sort of sometimes a momentum changer, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
You know, sometimes these houses have a little bit more bounce in the rubbers and the pins. That, you know, a head pin's probably the one that's the least sparable, aside from aces.
Well, sparing anything that's usually unsparable has got to give you a boost of emotion, right?
Yeah.
So you know what, I got to take that advantage of that.
Yeah. So these pins are all string. So there are strings attached to all the pins. So in the back there, the mechanic can just, tug on a string and it is able to reset.
Yeah, sometimes the scoring system doesn't register it properly, so I'm going to make a change here.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any free fall bowling anywhere in Canada anymore. That's the way the game used to be played.
Oh,
so
he
gave it
a try on the right side of that 3-pin. You send it flying over. You just never know. So
yeah, it's not a very common spare, but it does happen.
Yeah, free fall lanes. They're in the older days. I mean, there were some big senders across the country that were free fall and where there's
have more of a chance to spare that.
There's no strings, so the pins have a tendency just to bounce around a whole lot more, and it can fly around. Whereas here, the string sometimes would maybe limit the amount of action that they were going because there's a length of the string that how far it can go.
Yeah, the string keeps the pins down a little bit too. Back in the older days, people throw the ball a lot slower, had a lot more roll.
Okay, so we're going into the 10th frame.
If he bangs out, he can shut him out.
Bangs out, he's 248.
You can tie the 10th frame.
Right. He can shut him out from a match perspective. Correct. All right, so there's a miss.
Just
so now we
thought
got a
he'd
max.
hit the middle on that. Okay.
We got a max of 2.
That's going to open the door now for Bryan. It's going to open the door now for Bryan, not just for tying it at 5-5, but winning it for total pinfall.
Big shot here.
Nope. You see that left shoulder?
Yeah, that's too bad.
Okay, this is important where Jesse's got to get all his wood.
All his wood, so he's a maximum of 218 with a 15 count or with a
He just has to tie the 10th frame to move on. So get all your wood. It's 13.
So 214. So now we're down to Bryan.
So 216 for Jesse, and he's already got his 5 frames.
So really, one strike will win it here for Bryan to start.
Bryan's got 134 and a
corner
double,
pin on the first ball leaving would win it. Anything, a chop off, we'll start doing some math.
Corner spare. He has to get a mark.
Yeah, he can't.
He would.
Can't, even 15, a corner 15 will win it for him.
Ooh, you get the right
There he goes.
That's a great shot.
Should be enough.
That is enough.
Yeah, he wins the frame and he'll win total pinfall, so he will win the tiebreaker, which will become the...
So the match is not over until it's over. It's 10 games and every frame is important.
Yeah.
He threw a turkey there. He's the first guy to get it.
Bryan was down early, but just kept battling and kept working. And maybe Jesse got a little bit tight and a little bit loose. But good job for Bryan for battling through. He was down 5-2.
There's a case of not throwing the ball as well again after you've got the victory, right? Just changes everything.
Your mindset changes.
Just your mindset.
Whoops.
Well, good thing you had enough there.
Yeah. So your victor here in this match is Bryan Hirst out of Calgary, Alberta. He'll move on to face Jordan Schuss in the next match.
234 to 216, 5 frames apiece. Bryan wins on the tiebreaker, which is the score. So congratulations, Bryan.
Okay, that's a wrap for match number 2. Our winner was Bryan Hirst from Calgary with a score of 234 and 5 frames won. And he defeated Jesse Chrusch from Saskatoon with a 216 score, also 5 frames. So it came down to the score of that match.
Yeah, that's where example of the score did come into factor because they had tied on their frames. There's good finish by Bryan there, down early, 4 frames to 1. But finished strong to tie it and win the game total. So we move on to our third match now, and we have Brian Askin, 36 years old, from Regina, Saskatchewan, against 28-year-old Eric Schoss from Wetaskiwin. Once again, third match in a row where we have a bit of a rookie versus a veteran. Brian not playing very long on the WCB Tour and not maybe as used to the cash tournament situation as Eric. Eric, even though younger in age, has been playing the circuit, has some experience, has thrown some perfect games. He threw a perfect game to win $10,000, I think, in this bowling alley 2 years ago.
Pretty
correct?
close to these set of
Pretty close
lanes
to
here.
these set of lanes. So again, experience versus youth. It'll be interesting to see. Eric throws the ball a little bit slower, and Brian's a little bit more of a fireballer, getting the ball out in the lane. So be interesting to see how this match goes.
Yeah, good luck to these guys.
You betcha.
Okay, let's take a few moments to acknowledge our sponsors, and thanks for all your support over the year.